exhausted and a little angry.
All right, I'm recording.
Really? That makes me feel weird. Whoa, I guess I didn't.
No, you know what I mean. It's just like rushed. Like I gotta go.
Actually, yeah, that's probably true. It's because I don't know. And actually, I did just do a bunch of stuff, but it's kind of because we just got a bunch of things done in the group I was working with to like finish stuff up. So it's
Right.
good now. But,
Okay, so you actually can
The
rest.
stress is finally off your shoulders.
well, tomorrow we have a 6-minute presentation that I have to practice for, which is pretty cool. But the stress is almost off my shoulders in a way.
Well, good
All
luck.
right.
It'll never go away.
So today we're gonna be
No.
we're gonna do the game,
I don't want
and
to
then
think
we're
like
gonna
that.
discuss. We're gonna do the
What's that?
game, and then we're gonna discuss assistant directors, producers, and production managers. Then I'm gonna go over what we're gonna go over next week, and then we're gonna end the recording there.
Sounds good, Professor.
Good? Cool. All right.
Sounds good, Sensei.
Was anybody able to study any of the syllabus with the any of the stuff we were going over this week or last week?
Last week a little bit, but to be honest, not this week.
All right.
Same.
Well, we'll see, because I'm gonna ask you all questions, so we'll see if you guys know anything or not.
But don't worry, we're also going to go through everything again afterwards. So, like, we're going to go through brief explanations of everything and
I might
that
just
kind of
learn
thing.
from this. I might learn from the game.
Yeah, and that's
I might
what's
go
fun.
like over a few examples and stuff, but like we'll really talk more about it after the game. All right, so it's our second round. You guys ready? All right. Welcome to our second segment of Did You Learn Anything This Week? The segment where we ask questions about filmmaking and you answer. I'm your host, Lakota Cloud. This week's questions will be related to screenplay format, structure, producers and what they do, a production manager and what they do, screenwriting general, and assistant directors and what they do. Please remember, some of these positions are more fluid and may be used for different things depending on the size of your set. First, the rules have changed. We will go in order of our screen, asking each of you a question. You can choose to skip or answer, or just take a guess. If you answer correctly, we ask the next person a new question. If you answer incorrectly, the question will be asked again to the next person in line. And if 2 people get it incorrect, we will allow everyone to have their answer. If no one gets the answer right, we will reveal the answer ourselves. Then play will continue on in order as before. Remember, this is just for fun and learning. It's not a competition. All right?
Got it, Brent?
Let's begin.
This is not for fun. I'm sorry. It's a competition.
Is everybody ready?
Well, we're not keeping score this time, so.
I'm going to keep score. I got my pen and paper.
All right, Shizam, are you there?
Ah, shit.
You can't have
You're the
a-
first in line, so you
I
ready?
was like, I was thinking, can I leave and then come back so my screen would be the last?
No, come on.
No.
That's a good strategy.
I'm
No,
about to-
now just because of that, we should do it in the opposite order so no one can leave and come back.
Right.
I'm
Just
keeping
start
track
from
of
her
my
for
rules.
saying
You
that.
want to start, Colin? Is that what you're saying?
No, wait, this isn't fair.
Yeah, I think Colin's really excited, and we should.
No, I'm
probably
gonna
let him
start with
Okay,
Shizam.
we'll see. I don't know
I'm
if
saying
I'll
your
get it.
name right? I keep trying to make sure I say it right.
Say it again.
Shizam?
Yeah, it's a Chisson.
Shizam.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Bison.
So, Shizam, what is a log line?
Wait, I know it.
Okay, we get it. We know you know it.
Wait, do I have to be exactly descriptive, or can I describe it my own way and then
If
you
you
got
describe it in your own way and it matches well enough, I'll just say you got it. By the way, we're not keeping points this time, so don't worry about
Okay,
I
a
am.
log line is like a.
Hi.
points will be kept.
It's
that.
like a.
All right, go ahead. What?
Okay, a log line is like a 3-sentence or less, like kind of summary of what your movie is going to be centered about.
Okay, yeah, you got it right, except for it's 2 sentences or less.
Oh, okay, my
You don't want it to run on for too long, so it's usually 2 sentences or less. And it's like you said, it's a summary of the film or the show that states the central conflict of the story. So it's like a really quick summary of what it's about.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll count that.
Okay, good. I
All
got
right,
this.
Seth, do you hear?
I'm here.
All right,
Okay, I thought he ran away. I was like,
ready?
Makes sense.
What is the main responsibility of a production manager?
To keep everything on budget.
Okay. Anything else? So I'll give it to you. The main two things are budgeting and scheduling.
Give him a minute to
Yeah.
finish it. He was
I wasn't gonna get it,
going.
but
Oh, I didn't hear. I didn't know he was going.
It's like Jeopardy. You got to give us a couple seconds before you say anything, Alex.
Also, you have to phrase all your answers in the form of a question.
No. Yeah, you were right. Budgeting is one of them, and scheduling is the other. So it's kind of like the two main things that go hand in hand, and they keep track of all that stuff, and they work really closely with the first assistant director and the producer. Good job. All right. Ready, Brent?
What?
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
What is subtext in a script?
What is subtext in a script?
Gave out some videos that were specifically on this.
I know you did. Subtext or
Just the general description of
action,
what subtext
action words, action stuff that's happening in the scene. It's like the action between the characters or going to the next scene. I don't know. I think it's something like that. I can't remember.
Nope. It's dialogue that's implied but not actually said, like something that's said without words. All right.
Dialogue implied. And what? Dialogue implied and what?
It's like a dialogue that's implied, but it's not actually said.
Do you
Like
want to get the literal description of it on Google? I can send it to you.
You go ahead and post that in the chat. I'm gonna go good. All right, Daniel, you ready?
Oh, goodness gracious. All right.
All right, you should probably know this one, but I don't know. Who's usually in charge on a larger production? The producer, the executive producer, or the director?
Like who's the one mostly in charge?
Yeah, like large scale production. Think like big studio, all that.
Usually it would be basically I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce the word. The
Executive,
head producer.
the executive producer, you're right.
Yes.
Yep. Most of the time it's the executive producer. They are the liaison between studio execs and producers.
Yeah.
So they'll be the ones hiring the producers, and then they talk to the studios or the
And they
finance
find the
director.
right director for the project.
Yep. And on
Because-
smaller sets, it might not be that way. But
It's
usually
usually the
you know, they'll
director
lead
in
the top.
charge on smaller sets. And then producer is just in charge. The producer is in charge just as much, but they're almost as level as the director on smaller sets.
Yeah.
I sent what subtext is in the group because I do not know how to send images on this chat. So it's in the
Well,
group. And I
somehow
sent
you
it to
sent it.
Brent.
James, you ready?
Am I?
I don't know, are you?
I guess.
All right. What makes good dialogue? A, it sounds like real conversation, but is more intentional and less wordy. B, shows distinct character personality. C, people don't say exactly how they feel. D, there's misunderstandings and miscommunications. Or E, all of the above.
Come on, dude, you got the easiest one.
I got these.
They're all good things to have.
Yeah, all of the above.
Yeah.
Yep, all of the above. You want it to sound
Honey,
real, but you want it to be more intentional, less wordy. Because real people, they go on and on and on. Sometimes they don't even say what they mean. They just go around in circles. So you don't want that. You want it to always be intentional and always mean something when people have dialogue in the script. You want each character to sound different from each other. You're the writer, so all the characters are coming from you, but not everybody's going to talk like you. So you want to make sure that if it's a teenage girl, they're talking differently than an old man and stuff like that.
No, you want them all to sound the same, especially the old man and the girl.
What was that?
I'm just kidding around. Like, you want them to all sound the same, the old man and the little girl.
You could. It's not going to sound real, though.
I kind of want to see that.
People not saying exactly how they feel. They shouldn't be like exclaiming like, oh, I'm so mad. They should be, you should be showing that more instead of just them expressly saying it, because people don't usually say exactly how they're feeling. They talk
The
around.
perfect example of that is using the Hulk. Look
The
at the
what?
Hulk. Look at the Hulk. That's a perfect example. He doesn't say he's so mad. He shows that he's so mad. He
Yeah.
smashes stuff.
I don't know about that. Before he gets mad, he usually say, "Don't get me angry. Don't get me mad."
He
Yes,
says that
back
a
in-
lot in the first Avengers movie.
That is
And,
that's
and I
true
think
too.
kids, they express themselves in that way that Lakota was talking about. They're like, "Well, I'm mad."
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know this was
Like, there's
Caillou.
always certain situations where it works, but for the most part, people don't usually say how they're feeling.
All right. Just
And
like
then,
with
misunderstandings and miscommunications. This happens all the time in real life. You want it to happen in your script. People shouldn't understand exactly what someone means if it's kind of cryptic, or if it's kind of like a situation that might call for a different kind of dialogue. Like the example that a video gave was, there was a guy cheated on his wife, so she said that he has to sleep on the couch. A week later, she comes out there and says, that couch probably is uncomfortable. And his thought is that he's going to go into the bedroom again. But she says, you know what? You should probably get out of here and go get a place. So there's a miscommunication. Not a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. He thinks one thing, she means another.
He thinks
wanna have
she
this.
forgave him, but really she's kicking him out.
Yep. Colin, you ready?
typical.
I don't know. We'll see whether or not I'm ready, depending on the question.
What are the main things done in pre-production?
Like just setting, like you figure out what like location, like you plan like storyboard, you do you probably cast, I'd assume. Like, yeah, so those are my ideas.
Any
Okay,
others?
yep. Okay, so the main
Right,
things
Give him a minute.
are,
Any others?
I'm just going to go through all of them that we wrote: scheduling, budgeting, location scouting, gathering crew and cast, gathering equipment or renting equipment or buying it, whichever you're going, getting props, costumes and wardrobe, production meetings, rehearsals, permits, gathering finances, making deal memos and other things with the cast and crew, getting releases for the locations, set construction if you have a set that you need to build from scratch, and of course screenwriting and acquiring rights to the properties of like a screenwriting.
And
I know you
location.
want to hurry up, but
And getting the permits for locations as well.
yeah, we said permits.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's like 6 different types of permits. So
Yeah, but permits are permits, permits.
Yeah, I
Then-
just put permits as a general.
Yeah,
But
what was the question?
the question was, what are the main things done in pre-production?
Oh, okay.
That's
I'm
all.
probably
That was
gonna
a
take
horrible
a
answer, Colin. Horrible
no.
answer.
I mean, it was a
He
good
got
answer.
3 of them.
But
But
honey,
that-
I know you want to rush through things, but give him like a few more seconds to see if he can come up with anything else too. Like you're rushing way too much.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree on that.
I just know that last
Yeah.
time it went on for like 2 hours, and I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, I
But it
know.
won't happen again.
Give it-
But listen,
Anyway,
Okay.
Chief Stone, you ready?
Yes,
Okay. What should not be in your action description in your script?
my action description, like when I'm writing a fight scene.
Just like action is just considered like any of the description that goes below your slug line in the script.
Like the description of the scene and the
Or what
character
the
in the movie.
characters are doing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what should not be in it?
I feel like I know this, like it's the tip of my tongue.
There are a few things you probably shouldn't put in it.
Yeah, there are probably a lot of answers to this question because there are a lot of things that probably shouldn't be in the action description.
right.
You just
Yeah,
name
but there's
anything.
the main things that definitely shouldn't be in it. And
Do you give up? Do you pass?
No. Give me a second.
give her a second.
All right. I'm giving you 10 seconds because I know people be trying to Google on here.
Okay.
9, 8, 7.
So how you spell it in Google is like
Brent's just butthurt because he's the only one without a point. No, I'm kidding. I love you.
Let me skip.
What is it?
Let me skip. I can't.
All right.
Thank
So, 1, you shouldn't have how your characters are feeling. You shouldn't have non-relevant descriptions, like things that aren't relevant to the story. You shouldn't be describing things that don't matter. to the story. You shouldn't have character thoughts. Camera shots are on a different part. They're not in the actual action. And the word we is also not. That's what we came up with anyway.
Okay.
So you don't want to
Yeah, for
describe how characters are
example-
feeling or what they're thinking. Let that be told through your dialogue and through their actions.
A good example is like if the clothing they're wearing is relevant to the story, then you can add that. But if not, then you don't need to add the clothing, the way they look, their height, their appearance, unless it's actually important to the story.
Oh, it's
Like
like when you're
age
writing
is
that
what
script.
most people put because they, you have a certain age that you're
Going
thinking you
for.
write that character. But for the most part, other stuff doesn't really it doesn't matter if they're 6 feet or 5 feet. If it doesn't actually affect the story, if there's no dialogue about that, you don't need to put it.
It's
What were you
almost like
saying,
when-
Brett? Sorry.
What was
It's
that?
almost like, what's that, Collins? Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
I think
I had a
it was
Say
question.
I think it was said.
Seth.
When it comes to like symbols in the story, like objects in a story that aren't like specifically, I guess, defined for the story, would that still go in the script, or is that
If
up
it's
to the
if it's
director?
symbolism that you want to have in it, it is related to the story. Is that what you mean?
Okay.
Or if it's
Yeah,
an
I
object
guess.
that he's
Yeah.
there.
So
Like
if it's like symbolism that is related to your story because it's a theme, it should be a theme in your whole script, and that's why you're pointing it out. But if it's
Okay,
just like a
gotcha.
random thing out of nowhere, then it probably shouldn't be in your description.
However, if you're in like a place and how do I explain this without explaining it too much? Like you can describe the place a little bit, but not like in too much detail, just enough to where the person has a general idea, like, oh, she's in a bar.
Like if you say in a park, then we know what a park looks like. You don't need to describe how many trees and what's blowing in the wind
Right.
and
Like
how
if
Right,
you
what
right.
like,
colors
it's like
they are and all that doesn't matter. If you say it's in fall and you're in a park, they're gonna know that it's gonna be colored trees and everything's gonna be in the park.
it's like saying for a bedroom, like if the bedroom stuff is relevant to the story, then you could say it. But if it's not relevant to the story, then you just explain it's a bedroom.
Right.
Well, we
'Cause
gotta
it
go
Like
to
an
the
doesn't
bedroom
average
matter if
though.
they have
teenage
2
bedroom.
dressers or one. Like it,
Why
What
we
were
gotta
you
go to the
saying, Brett?
bedroom though? No, why we gotta go to the bedroom, Daniel? What I was just saying is basically Lakota took all my answers, but I was saying, I've read some scripts where it's like that is too descriptive on the scenery, and it's like I'm getting lost in the scenery and not understanding what's going on in the story.
yeah.
You know,
And that's exactly what you don't want to do.
Then
Like a short story, it might be good, but
a good example is in 500 Days of Summer, one of the scripts we read, they had a lot of descriptions, not a lot, but they had a few descriptions of LA. And that's because LA was one of the central parts to the story, like in a few specific scenes.
Yeah.
Well, they were in this near this building or near this park in LA, and he would talk about the park a little bit, but not like in too much detail, but a little bit more just because it was an important part of the scene.
right, right. Because even if you write all of that, and when they start shooting, you know how the character is looking around. You don't want the character to be looking and saying he's looking at the trees and he's looking at the bench and he's looking at this and he's looking at that. The wind is blowing, and that's a lot of shots in your scene for no
Yeah.
reason. And then they might just cut half of that out and make you just look
Yeah,
at the
you could
tree
just
one
be
time.
he's looking
Right.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's looking around. There, you got it all.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Brent, you ready for your question?
What? All right.
What does a line producer do? What does a line producer do?
A line producer mostly takes care of the lines and the lines on making sure they're keeping on dialogue, making sure they're keeping on script and not going astray and stuff like that.
No, that's the
Supervisor.
That's the script supervisor.
Colin,
But
it's
that
not
was a
funny.
really
I see
good
you
guess.
laughing.
That's a good guess. Daniel, would
That
you like
is
to
a good
take a
guess.
guess at it?
Line producer.
Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious, I don't even remember.
All right.
He
Does anybody
passed.
know?
He passed.
Does anybody know?
It's a both.
I know.
All right.
Colin, go ahead.
They work
I just
closely with
don't
the
know.
unit production manager. They're usually on like the day-to-day details of an actual production process. They see that the production stays on schedule and within budget constraints. So they're like below the producer, and they're the ones working on like the day-to-day, making sure everything on the day-to-day is staying on task.
And they work with the production manager.
When the other ones are looking at the overall picture, they're looking at the, every single day, keeping it on. All right. Daniel, here's your question. Give an example of when to use a dialogue parenthetical in a script.
Oh, one more time.
Give an example of when to use a dialogue parenthetical in a script.
Line part of. I don't even
Parenthetical,
know.
it's like the little parentheses that you put words into.
Oh, is it when they basically, I think it's when they're basically, it's a line in their mind. It's not out loud. It's basically something to themselves.
Yeah, that's one word. Yep, that's an example of how you can use it. So
Or
it's like whenever it's the
or-
dialogue is said
Is
in a
it
way.
though?
What?
Is it though? I thought a parenthetical is like a way of saying something.
Yeah, if they're saying it to themselves and they're like, they can say it like quietly.
like
That's
say
what
it
you meant, right?
quietly, say it in a whisper, or say it in a.
Yeah, he means like
Yeah,
to
but it's
himself,
not a
as in
thought.
like he means
It's
as
not
to
a
himself, like
thought.
as in like, oh yeah, I don't know. But he's not actually saying it out loud. He's saying it to himself.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily.
You can also use adjectives in parentheticals to like sort of describe the intention behind what they're saying as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's whenever dialogue is said in a way that's not obvious in the script, you use a parenthetical. So if he was saying it quietly to himself, like Daniel said, then you would need to say to himself, or you could say like angrily if he's saying something like I
Oh,
love
okay.
you.
Give me an example. I get it now.
Yeah, that was the question. That was the, well, it wasn't a
So
question.
was I
that
right
the-
on that?
Yeah, you're right.
Awesome.
All right, James.
Another point for me, Brett.
What are the main parts?
No, we're
of-
not taking points. I was just messing around with you guys.
I
We're not
deducted
Brendan.
a point for Priscilla from interrupting.
I can't play. I know all the
Where
answers.
everything's made up and the points don't matter.
No, she's saying because you interrupted because I was reading the question.
Whoops.
Minus 100 points.
James, you ready? What are the main parts of post-production?
Come on, he got that.
Me?
Yeah, it's your question.
Oh, sure. There's the edit, there's the sound mix, there is the color timing. What else? There is the digital transfer. VFX, I suppose, but that's basically post-production in general.
Yeah.
Thank
What
you.
else?
So everything,
Yep.
everything.
So yeah, I have written down editing, visual effects, CGI, Foley work, sound mixing, soundtrack as in like music, or composing if you have a composer, marketing, distribution, any ADR or reshoots, and color correction. And then like you said, digital transfer and all that. There you
I
go.
suppose. I thought the marketing usually, well, it depends on the movie. If it's like a
Marketing,
big
it
movie,
can be like during production, but I mean, it's a lot
usually
like
on a
after.
bigger movie though, like not often during a smaller movie.
Right. There's barely any marketing that happens on a smaller movie, but
Yeah, the
Right.
truth is a lot of these change depending on the size of the movie, depending on your budget, depending on,
Sarah,
how many people you have.
hey, Sarah.
Yeah,
Hey,
there-
Colin, you
Sarah.
ready for your next question?
Sarah's up. Next question, Sarah.
Colin? Give an example of when to use a character parenthetical in your script.
Like when you have a person who's off screen, so you say like something like their name off screen. That's like a guess. Okay. Voiceover, would that also
Yep.
work? Okay.
Yep. And do you know how to write it, or do you just know like you say voiceover?
Oh, I think, is it before their name? Is that it?
After their name.
Okay, I was one of my instinct, but I thought it was anti-instinct, so I went against my instinct.
That's funny.
No, but I'm not even
Don't
like.
second guess yourself, my guy.
But yeah, it's
No,
like
it was bad.
VO, into phone, OS or OC for off screen, off camera, or voiceover. for-
Isn't it like doing it a line too? They'll say that like what like they want the character to walk here, and as they're walking, they pick this up and say something.
If they're saying something into a phone, I think you can put into phone. But other than that, all the action that they're doing will come in the action before you start the dialogue. Sarah, you here?
Sarah said that she's at work.
Oh, she's at work. Okay.
She's just listening
We're
when
going
she
through
can.
the questions. So I guess I'll have to skip you if you're, well, you can message on the thing. Because I can still ask you the question.
Okay, she said, oh no, that's Brent. Yeah, she says at work, just listening in where I can chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so we might have to
And-
skip her.
You want a question, Sarah? If you do, put yes in the chat.
She said, oh no, that's
Oh,
Brent.
that's
Stop
Brent.
doing that, Brent. Brent's messing with us.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead. Chisone.
She
What
said
does,
yes. Sarah
There
said
you go.
yes.
Oh wait, sorry. All right, Sarah.
Now Sarah said yes.
What does an associate producer do?
Eat pie.
Tyson said thank goodness. She said thank goodness. What does an associate producer do?
Are you talking to me?
No, Sarah.
You're asking Sarah. Wait for her to write it in the chat.
I had to put it on mute earlier, so my brother came in bugging me.
I think Sarah's Googling it.
Sarah, you can't Google it. No, she's probably taking forever to like text back because this chat's really annoying sometimes.
Oh,
Still, I would like to steal this question and answer it.
Wait until she answers.
We're gonna give her another 30 seconds, and then if she doesn't
30
answer,
seconds? That's
fine.
long.
15
I-
seconds.
I have my buzzer ready. I'm gonna press it.
Okay, 15 seconds. You two.
Someone
with the
sing the
buzzer.
Jeopardy song.
I like
What
it.
is the Jeopardy song? I don't even know. Oh boy. Okay, Sarah said, "Oh boy." From Jeopardy. You guys are incredibly happy.
Time's up, Sarah. You have an answer.
Ooh, me,
She
me,
said,
pick
"Oh
me,
boy."
pick me.
Oh, here it is. An associate producer helps with the overall production.
That's
Wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong, Sarah.
That's a
Wrong.
Google.
Sarah's Googling.
That's everybody though.
Sarah, that is wrong.
Is one of the producers. Well, yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Well,
What is she wrong?
isn't wrong.
She is.
All right. Colin, you said
Sorry, taking orders at the same
I'm
time.
stealing the
Oh.
question. I want to steal
Yes,
it.
please.
All right, go
Answer.
ahead.
Isn't it the one that they like give the label? Like it's just a label that they give because they like the person or something?
Yeah, okay. So basically, we were looking it up more, and depending on the size of the set, yes, it could be either like if you do like a Kickstarter funded film, you would give associate producer to all the people who funded it possibly. And it's just like anybody who helps in a small way make the film, which would be like giving a little bit of money here or there, bringing in like a snack or two for the people, and whatever else. It can also
Or
be
if you have enough
somebody
money, you
who
could
worked
buy
on the
yourself
set.
an executive producer credit.
What was
Yep.
that?
If you have enough money, you can buy yourself an executive producer credit.
Yep. Or if you just have a big name, you can just call in a favor for somebody, and then there you go. You get executive
Once
producer.
you're insanely rich, you can never be an executive or an associate producer again. So I mean, like, hey, if you want to experience that again, you can give some money to me.
But it can also mean something else in bigger productions.
In a bigger production, it means they write, edit, and organize the script, and they help the senior producers in like small tasks. So they help them with little.
Yeah, Sarah, associate, because Sarah said associate producer helps make the film and helps fund it. No, that is the executive producer.
Kind of like a production assistant for the producers only, I would say, is what I can say.
It is an assistant
also,
to the.
they sometimes give that title to people who have excelled past their like if a production assistant did really, really well and really helped that film succeed, they brought in good energy and they made everybody happy around them, they might give them an associate producer title just to say thank you for doing, all you can to help this thing get done. What are you saying? No?
No, I'm telling Sarah no. She's like, there's a specific name for a producer that fronts money. And I was like, executive producer, I was about to say. Oh,
Right.
the
An
Yeah.
producer,
associate
you type
producer would
fast
help
on me.
give like $10, but an executive producer would help fund the entire movie. So that's the difference. Or they'd
Yeah.
find the movie. I
Yeah.
mean, they'd find the funding.
Or they'd help with like this little detail that we need, and so we'll give you an associate producer credit.
Or if it like J.J. Abrams called and said, hey, I'm calling Universal for you because I liked your script and I told them to come check it out, and then you get it made by Universal, you'd probably make him an executive producer because just from him giving
Right.
that call, he really helped you make your movie.
Right.
All right. Soam, you ready?
Yeah.
Give an example of a show, don't tell scenario in a script.
I feel like you guys just answered it in the previous. Can I use that example? Or is that cheating?
If you want to.
So you said give an example of a show don't tell in the script.
Yeah.
Like, let's say when a character is crying, she doesn't say I'm sad. You describe tears falling down her cheeks or her face being red with emotion or her what's that thing called? Oh, fist. Her fist clenching and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like it's not making your characters say exactly how they feel. That would be telling everyone how they feel. You are showing them by showing what they're doing. What are they doing that makes them? Are they angry? Are they clenching their teeth? Their jaw? I mean, like, yeah. So it's exactly what you said. All right, Seth, you ready?
Oh wait, honey, do you want to read that out because we also have an example? Oh no, we don't need to because we did.
I mean,
Yeah,
our
we did.
example is pretty much the same thing. I just had like Angela.
No, the example of
fit.
what not to do, but Brent already covered that in the last one because he was like, yeah, because they explained I'm angry or this kind of thing.
Right, and she just said that too. Like I'm so sad. So that's the same thing.
She said it very well. It was well said with her.
Well spoken.
Yeah, really well done.
All right, Seth, you ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
All right. What are some responsibilities of a first AD, assistant director?
Is it like scheduling for the day? Let's see. Like checking with each part of the crew to make sure they're ready to shoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
More the logistics, and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
And like a
some of their main
liaison
things.
between the director and the crew.
Yep. That was yeah. So like some of their main things are queuing cast and crew. If like a cast member needs to be queued to walk into set, they'll be the ones to help them like do it on cue when the director tells them.
They'll go get them.
What was that?
They go get them.
Yep, they go get them from like their wardrobe or makeup to go get them to go to set. They work with extras. If there's a lot of extras, they work with the extras while the director works with the main actors. They give instructions like quiet on set, rolling, and they make sure everything's following safety guidelines. And they also work really closely with the unit.
They don't say rolling
in that aspect. What was that?
They don't say rolling. That's a camera.
No, they tell them to.
Oh no, they do that too. They do. ADs could do that. I've seen them do that. Where they has like.
It depends on the set, but you're probably right. But the ones we were watching, they said rolling. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on the set. Not like
because
Daniel.
Telling, I think it's
sets.
like I know.
We let everybody know.
I know what it is.
Start rolling.
I know what it is. They had a headset in the video we're watching. They heard rolling from the camera, and they told everyone else rolling. So
that makes sense.
Why? So they kind of just repeat information, and they definitely like tell everyone to shut up whenever anyone's making noise. But yeah, they just repeat information, make sure everybody's on the same page, and then begin rolling. All right. That was everything. Good job, guys. Woo!
Yay! See, we're on schedule.
Yeah. You want to talk more about that stuff, or like go in deeper to any of the questions that we?
You guys have any questions about it? Anything you want to know more? Anything you know are curious about or didn't understand completely? Again, I would direct you to the videos and the syllabus that we made. But you know, now that we're here, we might as well answer questions. Always want to know more. Let's go, baby. Nice. Right? More you know is the better. Okay, then ask questions, people. You want to know more?
Okay. So you know where my question is going to be going. Lakota and Priscilla knows this.
What's up?
And James.
Probably Daniel too.
Yes, and Daniel. That is all.
I thought you said you had a question.
I'm confused.
No, I was just saying.
You know where my question is going. That is the question.
You'll know what my
No.
question is. I'll telepathically send it to you.
I feel like some of these positions, these titles, they're very flexible. It depends on the set and what is required. Like, you know, sometimes you can have James be the AD and the sound guy and the camera guy, you know. So
It depends. Like once the less people you have on set, the more everybody has to do. So the more.
However, just
Sounds like my
note
first
on
short.
that, when it comes, you can those are jobs that you can't exactly do the same time. For example, there has to be at least one person just on sound and at least one person just on the camera. You can't have.
are you speaking from experience?
Actually, not my experience, but the experience of people who have worked in a bunch like that we've talked about. They have said
people
that
we were talking to, we were asking them, and they were saying like the main things, you know, sound and camera, director.
the main things, just those,
Right.
because the
there's
sound could be
sometimes-
off while you're recording, and if there's no specific sound guide to like make sure that the sound's rolling perfectly, then you could lose that entire day, all the money, your shot, because you didn't get sound. You know, is an
Right,
example.
that's what you got. That's
I'll
what
use
you
my-
got.
I'll use
That's what
myself
you got
as an
ADR
example.
for.
Well,
But you
ADR,
can't do
you
ADR on
don't
everything.
want to do ADR. You don't want to fix it in post. You don't want to do that. You want to be
Like
able to do it on set.
I'll
Yeah,
use
they
myself
inflate the
as an
budget.
example. I did a small YouTube shoot the other day, and I had one guy on sound and video to find out the sound cut out half the day.
Yeah,
So
now we have to do reshoots sometime this week.
right.
But what about? I think certain positions, like James was about to say, you can direct and be the
Yeah,
actor.
go ahead and chime
Yeah.
in.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can direct and be the actor. You can work as a second AD, and
You could be executive
as-
producer and be
But you
the
but you
actor.
can't be
It's
camera
mostly
and
technical positions that
sound.
you want to find specialists for.
Yeah,
Right,
like some
like
of the like,
sound and
if you're on a
editing.
really small skeleton crew, you want to have like you could have the director of photography also doing lighting. It's just going to take a lot longer, but you can do that on a skeleton crew
I'm the
because
best
lighting will be
directors
set
of
up.
photography do their own lighting, but all right.
It's just that like
wait,
certain
what did
jobs-
James say?
what?
Well, the best DPs do their own lighting, but okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. There's also, for example, in a smaller crew, there's not that many producers. So, for example, the line producer and the production manager sometimes are the same thing. They have to do all that technical work and not only help find the location, but also manage the budget, but also make sure that everything is organized. So it's like that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
can mix positions and you can have people doing multiple things, but you have to at least have the main things, which is sound, video, and lighting. Those three main things. There might be more. I'm sorry if I don't remember all of them, but those main things at least need to have at least a specific person for.
Yes. So, sometimes you'll have like a director who likes to be their own DP. But even in that case, they'll usually like amass a team of like camera operators or like focus pullers, gaffers, grip and electric to like support them, because that's not easy at all to do. That's like really hard to do, but some people prefer it that way.
Right. And I've seen some movies come out really well when they do that. It's crazy.
Oh,
That's a
Roma,
lot of work.
so beautiful.
Yeah. And Braveheart, so beautiful.
I didn't
Speaking
know
of
that.
Braveheart, before Tyson says her question,
Braveheart?
we were watching a video. Yes, we were watching a video, and there was a scene in Braveheart where the guy zoomed in, and you could see someone's car in the battle scene while the horses
That's
were coming.
funny.
You zoom
If
in,
you,
and you could see a car.
if you look carefully in
That
Braveheart,
would
you'll
have gotten.
see
That would have
Listen,
gotten
don't
paid out
depict
so easily
Braveheart like
nowadays.
that. It was a great movie. Mel Gibson did a great job
It was
directing
a great
and being in it.
movie, but even that just shows that even the greatest movies have tiny little flaws.
like
Exactly.
look at Braveheart. Look at what I just said, Fight Club. If you look carefully, you see the cameraman in shots. You see
Yeah,
second camera.
especially if they ever have like a mirror or something. You can always find like little things that anything reflective. You usually see the camera or you see the cameraman.
Yeah,
Oh,
one of our tips in the books we read was to avoid mirrors in sets because they'll reflect everything.
yep. Same with windows. You got to be very careful with windows, but
Yep.
you can buy spray for it.
Oh
Spray.
yeah, we did hear. Oh yeah, we did hear about that. Like that spray that makes it look like the tempered glass and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I need to find. If you find out if anyone knows what that name is, please let me know because I've been trying to figure out what
It's
that spray.
it's in the handbook. I'm pretty sure that we were reading. So I'll take a look at it sometime this week.
Yeah, I don't know where that book is right now, so.
Yeah. Chase, I'm sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, but it's about like put my hand up. It's about dialogue. I don't know if that's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, my question is about this critique I keep hearing. Is like, oh, wait, sorry. About this critique I keep hearing about like for example, someone would say, oh, like this isn't how real people talk, and I hear a lot of people. Sorry about that. I hear a lot of people combat that with. Like I've seen good dialogue that isn't inherently realistic, and sometimes I question when is the balance because there's this book I'm reading, and the dialogue is so bad. And one of the things that came out of my mouth was, "This isn't how real people talk." Even though I don't always agree with that kind of critique, that's just the first thing I thought because it was just so like, I was like, these don't feel like people; these feel like caricatures. These feel like someone they think they know how people will talk like. I'm just like, this isn't how people talk. And people, I feel like that's just such a weird thing to say because the way people talk can be so vast since we all have different personalities, but that's all that could come up with. So like, what do you guys think about that?
That's a great question. I'm gonna jump in before Lakota jumps in, or Daniel, or James, or Priscilla. Right?
Just call us out.
And I'm gonna answer it the best of my abilities. I'm gonna use an example, and Colin. No, I hope you don't get offended. Colin don't get offended anyway. I can tell Colin is anything. It's like basically,
how dare
I'm trying to sound white in a movie or play a character that is white and portray myself to be a white person, or Colin's portraying to be like he's from Brooklyn, like yo, and talking, and you're like, that's not how people from Brooklyn or that's not how people from Cali talk. And you're looking at the movie, like, all right, some of the movies I've seen, and you have an African character, and I'm like, yo, that's not how Jamaicans or Africans speak. Why are they having this dialogue sounding so crazy? And then like, people are so engaging and they're like, yo, you seen that movie? I'm like, yeah, it was horrible dialogue. Like, that's not
Have
how
you seen the
Jamaicans
Fast and
speak.
Furious movies where they portray Brazilians? Oh my gosh.
Why you got to interrupt me with the Brazilians? Why you got to come with the Brazilians though?
Oh, sorry. I was just like saying, yeah, I get you.
Or say that. Then follow with the Brazilian.
I'll shut up now.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like, it's
Kind of looks dope anyway.
it is all right. So like the Social Network, it is an example of like people don't always talk like that character, but that character talks like that. He's very fast. He's very awkward, and he talks fast. He's witty, and he's very awkward. So yeah, him talking like that's fine. But you notice in that movie how every other character they don't talk anywhere near the same as him. Like you go to the principal, you go to the friend, you go to the rich kids. They all have a different way of speaking, and it's realistic in the way that because of their backgrounds and where they're from, they do sound like they could talk like that. It doesn't like
want
not everybody's
Okay.
sounding like the same character. So, or like if everybody was talking like how they made Mark Zuckerberg talk, then we would do the same thing. We'd be like, people don't talk like this. This is weird. But
Right.
since Mark Zuckerberg's a very like awkward, weird character, it's okay in that movie because it's just him doing it.
Another thing is sometimes there are really good movies, really good stories that have horrible acting, or like that have good acting, but the dialogue just doesn't sound natural. And what makes the dialogue sound realistic or sound like real people talk is just because it flows. It's the flow of it. It flows naturally. It's the fact that it sounds like a real conversation in the sense that it sounds like two people that know each other. It sounds like they're on the same page, or they're like laughing. It's the interaction itself that also makes it sound real, not always the words that are coming out of their mouth. For example, there are a lot of witty dialogue coming out of that movie that maybe you wouldn't like. It's not natural for us to think in the moment, but the interaction was so interesting and so genuine because you could see this person annoyed and this person frustrated and like the interactions were natural and real. And that's what made it as well sound real. So sometimes we read a book and the story's good and the interactions are interesting, but the dialogue, it's weird because it doesn't flow right. It doesn't sound like these two people are having a real conversation because the flow isn't right. Am I explaining this correctly? I don't even, hopefully you understand.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah. I think
I understand, but Sarah had a question, right? Interest in writing for different characters using different language styles and slangs is a way of speaking to different, I guess, nature and add depths and, it's cool. I'm like, yeah, Sarah, it is cool, but when you writing it is one thing, but trying to like, when it comes to casting and you casting a character that is don't have a lick of like, wasn't from there. It's kind of like, what are you doing? It's like somebody, if I was to go try to play a Jew character, a Jew guy, would you, and I could be speaking all the Jew slangs and words, but you're looking at me, a dread Jew, like, come on,
That exists.
not a Rastafarian, not a Rastafarian Jew.
I mean, if you convert to Judaism,
that's more about what you're talking about is stereotyping. Like that's different. That's not necessarily the dialogue itself. I get where you're coming from, but the dialogue itself, if it sounds natural, then you could sound like you're from whatever area.
Yes and no. I was going to add to that, and I was going to say that you can have dialogue where it sounds. For example, let's do The Social Network again because we were watching it. There's a scene that is, I don't know if this is a good example, but basically you can have characters that you're trying to portray a specific character. If you don't know anything about that character, it can be like a good interaction, but if it's not a genuine, if he doesn't sound genuine, if he doesn't sound genuine, like a genuine person like that, then yeah, you can have a good interaction. But if that person isn't having a realistic portrayal, then that kind of ruins the dialogue as well.
Like most of the Lex Luthors in the DC universe. Like Lex Luthor is a good example of that.
Maybe in like Batman versus Superman, I guess he's putting his all in it, and it's a different portrayal of Lex Luthor, but it doesn't really sound natural because he's not flowing as well with the rest of the movie. It's a different tone. Like he's giving a good performance, and it's an interesting dialogue, and it is like James said, a different version of Lex Luthor, but it doesn't match that particular story. So that could also be a reason why the dialogue doesn't sound natural. So these are just some examples of things that kind of get in our brains, and we're like, okay, this doesn't sound genuine, this doesn't sound like a real conversation because of that, either because of the flow, because the character feels like he's not really connecting to the other characters he's talking to, because he doesn't seem like a genuine person, Like Mark Zuckerberg, like in the movie, he seemed like a bit of a weirdo the way he talked and stuff, but you could tell his little moments of humanity, his little moments where you were like, okay, he does have feelings, he does doubt things. You can see it on his face, those things. So even if you can't identify with his personality, the way his brain works, the way he talks, you can still identify with those little glimpses of human emotion that he has. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you guys really hit the nail on the head why I had a problem with the dialogue. I think the issue with the characters in the book were just so flat. Like you can't, like for example, like what Brent said, basically sort of like if you had like a rich character or like, I know it's stereotyping, but basically if you know a character's personality, you probably write a scene of how they would talk. Like if you have a character that's a short temper, you know how they would talk versus a character that's more calm. But these characters were so one-dimensional and flat. I really couldn't think of, other than surface level that they were nice people, I really couldn't think of how they would talk. So everything was just so clichély written. Like,
and that's the difference between a stereotype and a true character. You can have a character that's black, that's Brazilian, that's white, that's whatever, and they talk differently. But if they only have one personality and their own only personality is, oh, the slutty Brazilian or the smack talking black person or the boring white guy, then these are stereotypes. Then they're gonna feel flat because that's all they are.
The other thing about it is like we were hearing about. It's like if an older guy that's born in like the 60s tries to write dialogue for teenage girls.
Oh yeah, I was gonna touch on that.
But he's never been around. You know, he doesn't know how they talk anymore. Like he maybe back then, but people change their dialogue all the time. So just writing for them now, he's just, you know, it wouldn't sound natural unless he actually does his research.
So you reading it, you can tell it's forced. You can tell this isn't how teenagers talk, and he doesn't. Is this a 40-year-old man writing for a teenager? You can totally tell.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but I feel like
no, I'm sorry. You could go.
Okay. Sorry. Like I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but I feel like I've seen like even in like recent shows, people like a lot of some of the characters that are supposed to be like younger will like use the like, you know, the salutation. They'll say like later, like they'll say later, but like I like don't hear anyone say that. Like I never hear anyone say that. Like, all I hear is see ya, like, or that stuff. Like, and it's really interesting because that's like all like that's all they use in like any young setting. It's really interesting. And I don't know if that's just like the people I surround myself with. Like I don't know, but
I was gonna say,
you're completely right. Chai-Soon said Riverdale. Yes, all of those teen shows. Like I have a guilty pleasure so big for the Vampire Diaries, but let's be real. Those are adults writing how they think teenagers are or what they think teenagers want to be. Like they want to be in those adventures and they talk like, that's not how teenagers live. That's not how teenagers talk. That's how they think they talk, or the idealized thing that they think teenagers want to be in an adventure, to be in this crazy situation. So yeah, those stories that they say
that's another thing. That's another thing. Whenever you put someone in a crazy situation, sometimes the dialogue doesn't really fit the situation. Like they see a ghost and they're not like freaking out. They're just kind of like,
oh yes,
what's that back there?
Oh, a ghost.
It's just like there's different. What?
Oh, a ghost. I am intrigued. That is
my gosh, we were playing.
Like, this doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem like the way a character would act if that situation happened to them.
Yes, like an example is we were playing a video game. It was a horror video game, and every time it was the dark. It was an anthology.
Little Hope.
Little Hope. Yeah, we were playing Little Hope. It was the Dark Pictures anthology. So we were playing that one because I really like the first one. Still their best one, but we were watching it, and every time a ghost would appear or they would have a vision of the past or whatever, they'd be like, that was weird. Like just they wouldn't seem as shocked. Like the character died.
It's a video game. The ghost would drag them back into the past, and they'd be seeing the past that had their own their own faces in it, and they acted
like it was completely normal.
That too. That was really weird.
I think honestly that honestly reminds me of the book. I'm just gonna tell you the name. It's called Tattooists of Auschwitz, and like the main characters, they act like they're in a summer camp. Like it's supposed to be a little bit. It's supposed to be like based on a true story about this man who came into a death camp to protect his family and ended up falling in love. But the way they write the romance, they genuinely act like they're in a summer camp. Like they're seeing the girls are holding hands and giggling. I'm like, aren't you in a death camp? Why are you giggling, holding hands? And there's this other scene that bothered me. Basically, the main character met these people who are voluntarily helping to build the crematorium for where they're gonna kill the Jews. And it's like he talks, and then he never brings it up that these people are willingly helping to build something that will kill your people. He just never brings it up. I'm like, isn't this a conversation you want to have? He just acts like they're nice people. I'm just like, I thought the author was like, maybe he's uncomfortable, but no, he just never brings it up. And there's just acting like 14-year-olds in a summer camp when I keep thinking the tone is off. This is a dead camp. Like, not saying they can't be happy, but like, it's just
Earn those
really
moments
off.
of happiness.
It's just really off. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Isn't it kind of like a stylistic choice? Like when it comes to dark comedies, like they would never, in those real situations, they would never say the things they do, but they have to like make it comedic.
The thing is that I don't think if she was trying to make it a comedy, I would get it, but she was genuinely trying to make it a romantic tragedy story, but it wasn't a tragedy. It just felt like
she was focusing too much on the romance and too little on the
romance
actual
wasn't
story.
believable because they were flat characters. He doesn't know one thing of her personality because I don't know one thing of her personality other than she's nice and pretty. And that's just
Not every romance movie. No, I'm kidding.
it felt like 13-year-olds falling in love in a summer camp than two people who could be dead in any day, but they found love. I feel like that's such a good script. I mean,
it's a good idea, but a terrible execution.
That's basically YA in a summary of YA books in general, right there.
Seth and James, do you guys have anything to add about dialogue or anything about the whole conversation we're having, really?
No, not really. I'm just listening, learning a lot.
Okay. James, I know you were trying to say something earlier. You have something to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Does anybody have any other questions about anything?
Okay, yeah, I have one more question. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, is there a thing okay, I know people like to make their characters witty sometimes depending on the movie. I know Marvel likes to do it a lot, but is it really so bad to make your dialogue really, really realistic? Like make the characters probably say like stutter, like, because I remember I was watching this movie. One of the things I really liked about it was how awkward the characters were, because they were awkward because they kept saying, wait, what did you say? Because that's genuinely how people talked, and I liked it. But I see I do see other movies do it and they don't make them realistic. But a lot of times I feel like should more movies make them really, really realistic to a point, or is that more of a hindrance?
I wonder if it was better to kind of just say talk it out as you would, don't remove ums. Like maybe you just tell the actors not to remove that, because I feel like if you give them ums, they might make it sound kind of weird, because it's like, oh, I have to go to the store. I want to do it's kind of I feel like it should just be you just tell the actors to say it.
I feel like it depends on the movie you're making.
I feel like it's almost too. But yeah, I agree. I agree with what Colin's saying too.
To answer.
Sometimes the actors might add that in on their own because they know this thing seems awkward for their character, and they'll probably know, because they really a good actor will deep dive into that character and be like, well, what would they do in this moment? What would they do? And sometimes, especially on TV shows, when they've been that character for years, they'll be like, hey, I don't really think my character would say this. I think it would say, something more along the lines of this.
Sorry, Brent.
It really depends on characters and what the situation is or what story you're looking for.
Yeah, I have something to add too, but go ahead, Brent.
Oh no, go ahead, ladies first.
No, you wanted to say something. Come on, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was piggybacking on what the young lady was saying about she could appreciate movies that they have natural dialogue, and Lakota kind of hit the nail on the hammer saying that certain characters, is when you're speaking naturally, if you're talking to your friends, you won't be saying he looked at him up and down and looked at him funny, and then it's when you're writing like that, you're not gonna really get the full you're not gonna really get the characters to come to life, and that's where the actors have to come in. And sometimes directors or screenwriters, they get upset when you kind of change the story around because you're trying to make the character come to life, like Lakota is saying. And if you, in order for you to make the character come to life, you got to say, well, this don't make no sense. The character wouldn't say this. If I'm being this person, I wouldn't say this. I would, and that's why a lot of times some movies they do a lot of improv, and you're like, that is so off script, but it works. But then sometimes directors don't want you to keep going off script. But then it's like, but it feels, my character feels to say this. It's almost like when I was taking my acting class, my acting coach told me, memorize the lines, read it, then stop, forget about it. Don't go over it for like a week and then come back. And I didn't remember all the lines, but I remember the concept and the feeling and what the character was going through. And I was able to express that character, but I was off script. Like I was improvising on some of the lines. And she was like, great, you actually portrayed that character well, but you was talking to some stuff that, some of it didn't make no sense because I was trying to stay in character. And I'm like, I can't remember these lines. I'm gonna just say how I feel and, just ranting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
I do.
understand what you mean. I was just going to add that I think it depends very much on the movie, on the style, and on the director. Like we were talking, Quentin Tarantino has dialogue that's very snappy and very stylistic, as opposed to the person that I keep forgetting their name because I suck.
Again? Isn't it
Yes,
like,
I know.
what is it, James? Dang it, I forgot.
See, even you forgot. You shush. What was it, James?
Is it Noah Baumbach?
Yes. See, it's a hard
Yeah,
name.
that's
Okay,
it.
leave me alone.
Sure.
Anyway, so like Noah Baumbach, his conversations are more like that. Like we were watching a specific scene. I don't remember the movie. I think it's the something with story. It has like Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller talking, and they're talking over each other. Yeah, and they're talking over each other. Like, oh yeah. I don't know. Or he's talking with his dad, and he's like, so I got this promotion and this and that, and he was like, oh yeah. So it's more natural and more like that, but that's because it's that story. I feel like every scriptwriter is going to have their way of dialogue. You can have witty if it matches your story, but it also, for example, Justice League. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it was the witty parts that were in that movie didn't feel like they were supposed to be there. They did no, it's not even appropriate. It's like they just didn't feel natural. They
That's
didn't
what I
feel
mean. Appropriate.
like the actual characters would talk like that.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. This isn't like Iron Man. This quippy little, this is more like Batman wouldn't talk like that.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more depending on the character that you're writing for, the story that you're writing for, the moment, that kind of thing. And so I feel like, yeah, there are movies that are more like that are more natural and slow paced and people get to talk like actual real people talk. And then there are Marvel movies and stuff like that people talk more wittily. Or there's The Social Network, which is a mixture of the two, because in it we saw there was a mix of the two. There was a mix of the witty dialogues and the snappy dialogue, but there was also those moments where they were just talking together and misunderstanding each other, or just not communicating, but talking but not communicating,
Yeah, by the way, I have to go, everyone, so bye.
All
okay,
right.
bye,
Bye.
Colin.
Guys,
Have a good night.
This week's stuff.
He wants to go through the syllabus real quick.
Take care, my guy.
Colin?
Oh,
Is he
wait,
gone?
so should I stay or does it matter?
Just for like 2
I mean,
minutes.
if you want to just look at it on your own, you're good. You can
No,
go.
I'll just stay. Let's make 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like
All
2
right,
minutes.
Let me
Go
just
ahead.
share the screen real quick then, and then we'll go ahead and go back.
Oh, but did that answer your question, Jason? Did that help or?
Yeah. All of the responses really helped. Thank you.
All right, guys. So this weekend and then the next week, we are going to think about our second script. Try to finish your first script. I know a lot of you guys said you want to just work on 2 scripts this semester, so you'll just be working on either writing out your first script or perfecting it. For the rest of you guys who want to do like the 4 scripts with me, then we'll start writing out our second scripts this weekend and in the next week. We are going to be looking into, on the production side, we're going to be looking into breaking down a script We're going to take a scene from a script, one of ours maybe, or someone else's, and we're going to break it down. But first we're going to try to like look it through some of that stuff to see how to do it. And then the next group meeting will be us breaking down the script together so that we see what all goes into it and what it entails. And on the screenwriting side, we are, like I said, finishing our first scripts, maybe starting our second ideas, starting our second scripts. We will be reviewing the second scripts if you guys want to post them up somewhere in the middle of the week. And then we'll start reviewing them and leaving feedback like we did. And if anyone wants to post their finalized version of the first script so we can see the differences and we can give even more feedback, you can do that too.
And it's also cool to see your growth and like where you started and how much better it's getting. Like so cool to see for you and for other people
It
to
doesn't
like
even have to be a
differences.
finalized version. It could just be your second draft. If you want to like make a third, fourth, fifth draft, if you just want to keep making it better and better, then it's a good.
Get off my lazy bum and get that done.
Like we said, it's optional, of course, but it's good for us to know all of these aspects so that when we get into whatever part we actually want to do, we know a little bit of everything. We know how to understand all the other people, all the other jobs, all the other positions. We have a better understanding of the industry as a whole.
Yeah. And then we're going to be in our second meeting next week. We're going to watch another film. It's going to be kind of like what Chisom was. Chisom. Sorry. Kind of like what you were talking about with. It's a good concept for the book, but it wasn't executed properly. So we'll either be watching a film that has a cool concept that was executed properly, or we could watch a film that had a cool concept that wasn't executed properly.
In other words, we're either going to be watching a really good movie or a really bad movie.
Yeah, but that's like a what to do or what not to do situation. And we'll watch that. That'll be Thursday. And then
I feel like a bad movie would be more fun, but we'll see. Sorry, honey.
It'd be really interesting to discuss like a bad movie and like why it's bad. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, like, honestly, for real. And then we're just looking into how to not be cliche with our writing on screenwriting. And that's it. And at the end of next week, we'll start working on our third idea for a script.
All right, Colin, you're free to go.
Thank you. I'm gonna go. Bye.
All right, thanks for staying, Colin.
Good to see you guys.
And I'm gonna go ahead and stop.